Nice. Okay. Wes, please button up a little bit. This is a very professional broadcast here.
You put my jacket on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If we could just do that. Okay. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do some chaotic good. That sounded beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Chaotic Good Sports. It is phenomenal. It's great to see you after last week. And boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, do we have a guest of honor this evening. This man, besides having the career of a lifetime for over a decade, this man, we're in year, hold on, I have this. Are we in year 19?
In journalism, yeah.
Let's go! We are in a 19th year in journalism. Ladies and gentlemen, the senior writer for the Green Bay Packers, the one, the only, Wes Hodkiewicz.
Thank you, buddy. I mean, there's so many introductions you can get in this life, but when Tom Grossi really introduces you, I feel like that's just peaking. Like, I feel like everything else beyond this is just not, it pales in comparison.
You should raise your standards significantly. Like the bar right now, just come with me. It's down here, my friend. Raise those on up. Before we even get into the craziness, 100% of the proceeds tonight are going to St. Jude. Of course, we have fundraised for St. Jude for many years at this point. They're a phenomenal organization. If you don't want to super chat, there's also a link in the chat, but there's also another link in the chat. As one Wes Hodkiewicz said, hey, Tom, it's not enough just to fundraise for one organization. We're going to do it for two organizations. And Wes Hodkiewicz, do you want to give a little info about why this is so meaningful to you?
Yeah, so I appreciate you first and foremost, Tom, for having me on. I was so excited for this. We've talked about this for a couple months. St. Jude, first and foremost, everything you have done for them, everything they've done with you, it had to be a part of this thing, and I wanted it to be the core part of this thing. But one thing that is very, very important to me over the last 2 years has been mental health. And Noah Kahn, some people might know the singer, he has a tremendous foundation that he started about 1.5 years ago called the Busy Head Project. And for someone that has really struggled himself with mental health and has come to terms with it more over the last few years, it was a very important thing to be able to contribute with this and have it partnered up with this as well. So basically what I'm doing is for every dollar we raise, up to $1,000, because I'm not very wealthy, but I'm going to match that in the super chat. Doesn't matter where you're going with your money. I'm going to match that and donate that towards the Busy Head Project. So it's something that is very, very important and near and dear to my heart. And as someone that has kind of struggled with a lot of that stuff away from football, away from the job and everything, it was something I wanted to make a part of this as well.
Hell yeah, brother. And the link to the Busy Head Project is also in the description. You get to choose. You want to donate to one organization, both organizations. It's completely up to you. At the end of the day, it's some chaotic good. And that fundraiser will also be open until Monday in case you're not watching this live. But Wes Hodkiewicz, you beautiful son of a gun. The most important question to start things off. How the heck are you?
I'm good, buddy. Oh, and then by the way, before I get into that, I should also say and this is up to you to tell me this. I don't know these things. And if they don't want them, they don't have to take them. But whoever is the top
hold on. Yeah. Do you want to do it on this one, or do you want to still auction them off on the big stream that's coming up? That's up to you.
You tell me, buddy. What do you want to do?
I don't know. That's up to you. It's your shoes. It's what you get to make all the decisions here, Wes Hodkiewicz.
Okay.
You tell me.
Let's hold off until the December 23rd stream.
21st.
23rd is a Packers game.
Yes, that is a important Packers
game. I'll promo them though, right?
Yes, we promo them.
I made 3 pairs of shoes this year for the trip to Brazil. One of them my mom got for my mom. And then I made 2 others, Nike Dunks. And I'm basically I don't know how much they'll raise. Maybe they will raise, maybe they won't. But I've covered a couple games in them this year. And then also personalized Wes Hod on the back as well.
Come on now.
So anybody wants those, maybe we'll do a thing with the auction.
They're asking what size?
Size 9 men's, which I think is 10.5 women's.
Okay.
If you got that too. So
they're going to
keep
get
that in
signed
mind.
by Wes Hodkiewicz, of course, right?
If they wanted to, I mean, maybe they just are like, hey, those are some cool shoes. I don't really care about the nerd with the glasses. I'm just going to have some stuff that looks like Packers gear. So
listen, you pull up to any event and you are wearing customized Wes Hod shoes, and they see as you're walking
there's only
away.
3. There's 3 pairs. There will be no more made unless I guess you go on Nike and create them yourself. But
that's right. That's 1 of 3, baby. That's 1
Dude,
of 3.
I will tell you though, when you're asking me how I'm doing phenomenal. Last Thursday notwithstanding. It's been a busy day. I was just over with a fundraiser, not a fundraiser, but a charitable event that Jordan Love was doing down the street. This has been the coup de grace, though. I've been looking forward to this all day, and it is wonderful to see your beautiful your beautiful face again, hear your wonderful voice, and talk about all things, whatever we talk about.
We just got an anonymous $500 donation.
Oh wow! I'm gonna be pulling up that $1,000 quick.
Yeah, we're at 971 already. So
is this where I'm gonna get myself in trouble? Because in my ad earlier on Twitter, I said, you know what? Well, it's anonymous, so you don't even know who it is, right?
Nope. And I know, listen, you already spoke about this because the best part about this community, it's just phenomenal. But their memory goes back pretty far, Wes Hodkiewicz says. The last time that you were on this, there was some piggies that were shown. And you went on Instagram and you were like, just a heads up, there's not going to be feet unless it's like a $2,000 donation. But listen.
And then I archived it. I didn't delete it, but I archived it on IG because I was like, I have all these clips of Jordan Love with small children. And then that one, if no one's followed me before on IG and they go on, they're like, who is this freak?
They're going through and they're like, oh man, donating shoes. Like, this is amazing. Jordan Love's playing like ball with some kids. And that's Wes Hodkiewicz. Okay. All right. That's, well, listen, Wes, just because you have a reputation to uphold doesn't mean that I do. And so because it's a $500 donation, piggies. And again, they look orange, okay? I swear, it's just, they do. It looks like someone said it looks like I stepped in Cheetos. No, it's just, I mean, that's just the way I walk, 1. But 2, it does mess with the coloration here just because it's on stream. I promise my feet are not orange in real life. Hold on. You know, well, this is what we really, hold on. Just because I feel like people won't, but that looks pretty orange. Okay, maybe they're a little hint. Maybe a little hint. But appreciate the hell out of you, folks, because we already, do we pass it already? Yep, we're already over $1,000 for St.
By the way, this is why I put a cap on it, because I know how your community is. I'm like, I'll go broke out here if I go past that. So
we going dollar for dollar, baby. We out here.
Maybe someday if I elevate myself enough within the Packers organization, I can just have an uncapped fundraiser, but otherwise I gotta watch my wallet. We're 9 minutes into this thing,
yeah, so. I am a little bit terrified for December 21st because it's not even an 8-hour stream this year, it's an 11-hour stream, so it's gonna be a time. But enough about that. We'll get there, Mr. Wes Hodkiewicz. I want to talk to you kind of about how things are going, craziness. I actually want to talk a little bit about last Thursday. This is probably the only real football we're going to talk about.
You talk about whatever you want, buddy. I am here for your listening pleasure, or whatever else you could call it.
I'll just listen to you all day, my friend. When it comes to, you had some interactions with Lions fans and Packers fans after that game. Yeah. And I had some interactions as well with a bunch of Lions fans. And we're going into almost 10 years of doing this now. And I have seen, like, I've been talking to Lions fans literally every single year, whether they were coming on Packcast every single week, promote the show, and, talk about the game, etc. And this is the Lions' time, right? In which they're kind of like, okay, these last 2 years have been really, really great for them. And you had a response and was basically like, I don't understand why there were so many Packers fans that were rooting for the Lions, because from the Lions' perspective, no. Like, I made a video about this the other day. Like, you're our rival. Like, we are trying to beat you every single time. And there's been this dynamic where Lions are kind of looking up at the Packers and all their success, and the Packers, they've been looking kind of down. And now that's starting to equalize a little bit. I'm curious of just your thoughts on the way that this fandom has kind of evolved throughout the years and kind of where your head is at in terms of looking at the Lions as a rivalry right now.
Well, first and foremost, you and I are huge pro wrestling fans, have that background, right?
Yeah.
I've told people this is not a bad thing. Like, I love the fact this is, and as in one of the comments I made was, to me, this is my 13th year on the beat.
Yeah.
This is the most real of a rivalry has felt with the Packers because it feels blood and guts right now.
It does.
Especially on the field. Where I was lost on this is, and where that came from when I was talking about it was, we do that insider inbox Q&A. And there was so much stuff last year, Tom, at the end of January, talking about, man, I really hope the Lions make it. I really hope they can do it. And I'm sitting there going, so are you the same fan base that often will ride the Packers for doing something wrong, or so-and-so not playing well, or someone needs to be let go or do whatever? But yet you're going to take that approach and sort of throw it aside because the Lions haven't won in a while? I mean, and the argument I made to people after the game on Thursday was, I mean, is Auburn ever going to find itself in a position where they're cheering for Alabama? I mean, is Wisconsin going to be in a position where they're cheering for Minnesota? No. Like, I think the atmosphere was crazy, dude, at Ford Field. And I think many reporters talked about this. It was about as loud as it ever has been there, at least during my time covering these games the last 12 years. I mean, but there was like not really a Packers jersey to be found anywhere.
No.
I mean, the way that these fans have been on this ride with Dan Campbell, I have total undeniable respect for everything they've put into this. And there's a lot of hungry Lions fans that have been waiting to have a winning year.
Decades.
Yeah. It's been 1957 since the last time they won an NFL championship, right? Or at least been in the conference championship.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call that. World championship, what have you. But the fact of the matter is the Green Bay Packers, this is still their opponent within the North. And for everybody that wants to win a Super Bowl this year, this is the opponent you have to run through. And my last point in closing is, when you're hearing a head coach talking about biting kneecaps and some of the things that went on in that game, and I don't want to rehash a lot of it.
Sure.
There was a lot of strong reactions to it. And my feeling was, talking back to some of our Packer fans, was, I mean, where have you been?
Yeah.
This is how it's been the last 2 years. And now the Lions have continued to take that next step. And the Packers are trying to obviously catch up with them here this last month of the regular season and potentially, hopefully, into a playoff run.
Well, I think it's also right. And you mentioned a couple things. And the thing that I love that you said the most is, like, this is a good thing. I mean, rivalries make football, we're talking about pro wrestling, but make football, make sports so much better. I talk about this all the time. Like the Falcons and Saints, they despise one another, right? When the Saints decided to go and get Jamal Williams a touchdown instead of kneeling it, and like that sparked a whole good. Like, that's how it should be. And I think that if anything, there's a lot of upset Packers fans after last Thursday's game, and like understandably so, right? Not it's just the loss and it's a rival and all that great stuff. And Lions fans, like, they're doing circles gloating. And listen, they've earned that right to do so. They beat us fair and square. They swept us this year. And so now I'm hoping, if they get to meet in the playoffs, one, that game is going to be electric, and we were robbed of a championship game last year. But two, I think this may have woken up some Packers fans and going like, hey, this is a rivalry now. And I've known that for even the 10 years, 15 years of doing this, right? And just being a fan for over 20 years, that the Lions have always seen us as a rival, right? Always. And now it's just starting to become a little bit more equalized with, hey, that makes some really fun football.
And for the people that are Game of Thrones fans or Song of Ice and Fire fans, the analogy I threw out there on on Insider Inbox this past week was, just because the Night King was dormant with the White Walkers for 8,000 years doesn't mean you should be cheering for them to overtake Winterfell. It doesn't mean they should be taking over, Westeros. I mean, the Packers need to fend this challenge off, and we'll see where this all leads. And certainly Detroit is just steaming through teams right now. The Packers kind of threw up a little bit of a roadblock there. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, what Detroit's done and how they've galvanized their fan base, I think they've really, I respect it. I look up to it. And there's parts of it, like when I look back at that game in week 9 against the Lions, you hope to see that amount of Packer fans at Lambeau Field. I don't want to get into that because I know people get really sour about that type of stuff, but it's true. The Lions created a really strong home field advantage. Our Packers had to take a timeout in the second half on one of those plays. It just shows you just that fan base and the Pro Bowl voting. I mean, I think they're the top voting team right now. I mean, people have really hitched their wagons to what Dan Campbell is selling, and it's obviously producing a lot of results.
I think there's a couple things, right? Because it's one, I think Dan Campbell, with his first press conference, especially coming after Matt Patricia, but like his first press conference, really galvanizing that fan base and being like, hey, this is what we want. And even Lions fans are like, okay, he's a lot, but like, if it works out, it works out. And then they have just done the work through the draft. They built up that team, especially through the trenches, and they've put together a really good squad. And I think that just now, there's that respect that's starting to get there of like, hey, it's not like yesteryear where you looked at a schedule and were like, oh, playing the Lions twice, all right, 2 wins. That's gone now. Like that's been gone for the past couple of years. I mean, hell, they literally beat Aaron Rodgers in his last game as a Green Bay Packer.
Yeah, and after 24 years of Packers winning those games at Lambeau Field or in Green Bay or Wisconsin. So
exactly. So like, again, I love it because I love football and I love the rivalry aspect of it. So like, it's just going to make it 10 times more fun.
And I love things that evoke emotion. Like Kirby Joseph, he evokes emotion in people. I think in some ways he probably outstepped his lane a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of the stuff on the field. But the fact of the matter is that is the type of player now that Packer fans take note of and people are aware of now. So
I think it's you mentioned it, and we don't have to go too deep into the weeds here, but I feel like I try to explain this as well as possible because, Lions fans who I'm talking to for years will say, like, you don't understand, like, where we've come from. Like, we didn't win a game for an entire season, right? While we, as Packers fans, were like, oh, man, if we lose in the divisional round, that is a losing season for us, right? Mm-hmm. And I try to explain to folks, like, it's just a different type of hurt, right? Because with the success that you're going to see any team face, like take the Kansas City Chiefs, for example, they were not good for a long, long time. And then they were like, okay, and now, they're back-to-back Super Bowl champs, and with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, they're doing amazing things. But look at the kind of coverage that they're getting, and like, oh, it's all the refs that are giving them all the wins, and, it's all the hatred that's coming with one of the most popular teams in the league. The Lions didn't really get a ton of that last year, except maybe from Vikings fans, because the Vikings, they turned on them pretty quick and were like, no, these are our rivals. And so Vikings fans, they had it right. But 2, like Lions, as they're going about this journey, they're going to start to kind of see what comes with winning. And when you don't win and having those expectations, and again, it's just a different hurt. And who knows, maybe there's going to be even a little bit more of seeing eye to eye of being like, oh, so this is what you were talking about down the road.
It happened last year. I mean, the NFC Championship game. And obviously talk to any San Francisco 49ers fan over the last 15 years and what they've gone through. The fact that they've had as much success they've had over 2 different head coaching tenures and still did not win a Super Bowl championship, win a Lombardi trophy. The way I always liken it to is it's the difference between having a significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, or getting your heart broken by that person. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. And Packer fans have been through that several times over here since the last Super Bowl title. So it doesn't get easier, especially when you get that close. I made the comment on Twitter last week about San Francisco 49ers are another cautionary tale. And if you get there, you got to get it done because the next year, as they've gone through twice now in the last 5 years, your entire football team can get injured. And some guys can get old quick. So
look at the Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl run, right?
Right.
Oh, there's a dynasty. It's not easy to get to the dance. It is not.
Not in this sport. Not in this game.
I wanna shift gears because I want to talk more about you, Wes Hodkiewicz, because that's the whole point of this entire show is talking more about Wes Hodkiewicz.
People know me by now.
Things have been changing, at Lambeau Field in terms of just even how the team connects and communicates with fans. I see the pep rallies, I think, have just gotten larger and larger. And, obviously you're the main attraction and star at every single one of those pep rallies, obviously. But can you kind of dive into how that's changed even from your day-to-day or your connection with the fan base or even just how the Packers are represented online and that shift that's happened over these past couple of seasons?
So I got to say this before I get into that. You saying that I'm the main attraction is like saying I'm the guy that's playing in the background, like Journey, while everybody's at the cocktail hour. That's what I'm doing. Guys are signing autographs, Mark's taking pictures with babies. And it's Spofford and I standing up there previewing the game to 6 people off on the side. But
as Spofford runs his hands through his luxurious hair, I mean, just.
By the way, we have the Mully Award for the stand-up player award in the locker room. You can't win this one. You're not on the team. But I feel like for Packers preview, we should have that. You have been the most consistent watcher.
I've never
every
commented.
Single week.
Never commented.
Never comment. First time commenter 9 times in a row. It makes it all fun. But, to your point, a couple things happened this year. We're doing 6 pep rallies regular season. Typically we do 3 or 4. A big part of that is this is obviously Mark's last year with the Packers. And that was a brainchild.
Yep.
The way that Packers Everywhere has evolved, that came from, his daughter had a hand in that.
Yep.
These Packer pep rallies, being able to go off to these random parts of the country and have people really engage with us and give people that want to travel the road games, a night before, to chance to get together with one another. I've been doing it. This is my 9th year with the team. So I've been doing it every year since I got here, but this has been by far the most rewarding, the most fun that I've had with it. We've been at some absolutely awesome venues so far this year. We'll be at another one here this Saturday night in Seattle. And I'll tell you what, man, I still have yet to have anybody come up to me and punch me in the face. I'm kind of waiting on that because of how I can get spicy on inbox sometimes.
Destroy them, Wes.
Thank you. You would destroy them. But the amount of people that have come up that read inbox and will say, hey, I'm Jennifer from Middleton. I'm, Margot from California. Like, that is what warms my heart the most, because those are the people that are with us day in and day out. And it's so cool to put names with faces and faces with names. And, but overall, I mean, I wish I told Ramage this too when I talked with him. I wish I could take any credit for what we've done with social, what we've done with our website. We have so many worker bees, man, and so many people that have come into this organization and come into our department over the last year that have just brought such an infectious enthusiasm and so many awesome ideas. It has been a privilege to work with a lot of these folks, and I get excited about it. I don't know if you saw it today. I did the story on Tucker Kraft.
You did.
Kip Up, Shawn Michaels. And we used the thing on it that we used on social, the tagline, the description was literally from the "It's still real to me, darn it."
Yep. It's still real to me, damn it.
I didn't know if I could curse or not on here.
You're good. It's fine.
But dude, how cool is that stuff? Like and that is the stuff that people want to see. They want to be a part of it. Some people it'll go over their head. They don't understand it, but some people are going to love it. So this has probably been one of the most fun years I've been a part of. I thought last year was fun, being kind of on the come up with Jordan and this offense. But this year, we got to finish the story here. But through 13 weeks, it's been 13 games. It's been a great season.
I mean, in terms of just how the team has kind of I don't want to say just like let loose a little bit, but compared to where things were, I mean, you and I had constant conversations about this. I talked to Mark Murphy about this, like, and just relaying this home of like, hey, like, this is how you connect with that next base. And I think that, not to go back to the Lions, but just the way that they have invigorated their fan base, one, is really commendable.
Yep.
Like that's one. And they use social media to do that too, but I think it's also like the personalities that are on that squad, whether it's the coaching staff, whether it's because they got featured on Hard Knocks. And again, that was just another way to, for fans to relate to the team. I feel like that is just something that has been needed for the Packers for so long, because especially for the younger generation who are looking to buy into their team and be more connected with their team. I mean, that's how I have a job, right? That's how I make a living. And now for that to come from like the main source, it's only going to help people, and that's only going to get more people in the door. That's going to get more people cheering for the team, because now there's real stakes there. It's not just something you're passively rooting for. It's like, I have an investment, an emotional investment in this team.
I hope you don't take this the wrong way.
Tell me.
But I would say Tom Grossi is not a controversial figure. He's a pretty straightforward, funny guy.
You'd be surprised, buddy. You'd be surprised at those comments on the internet. They're like, how dare you? And I was like, I just don't make football jokes, but okay, that's fine. That's fine.
But that's the thing. I think that with this Pandora's box that's been opened, you don't have to be overly controversial. You don't have to, be throwing rim shots out at other people around the league and other teams. You can be fun. You can be creative. You can show the personality of your players, right? And I think that is the number one thing. If you ask me what has changed the most with our social media and what we put forward is getting to understand who these people are more. Yep. And I mean, perfect example of that is Carrington Valentine.
Yep.
Carrington Valentine starts 12 games last year. I can write as many stories as I want about him. We can do videos with him. We can do interviews with him. But seeing him interact with the question of the day stuff and his personality coming out through that, and Carrington does a tremendous job on his own of kind of promoting his brand and who he is. But those are the type of things I think are really critical. And you see Romeo Dobbs, Rome is a kind of a quieter dude, but he's himself in those elements. And that's cool because to bring it back to what your original point was, it's that, okay, everyone's chasing championships. Everybody wants to win the Lombardi Trophy, but people want to be proud of their football team. They want to see something on social media that's cool, that you want to rally around and you want to embrace and say, hey, that's my squad. They came up with that. I love our admin.
Yep.
That's good stuff, man. That's what it's all about. And Yeah, my dad isn't on Twitter.
Yeah.
Good. You know, I mean, like, he
Yeah.
doesn't need to be on social media these days. But my parents, they don't know all that stuff. They don't
Yeah.
know Instagram. They don't know any of that type of thing. And that's not what it's appealed towards. It's
Different
appealed
audiences.
towards the next generation, the people that are interested in that type of content and want to interact with it. So that's been really neat to see. And I got to say, maybe I've said it to you before, but I mean, Renee Gabriel, what she's done as our social media manager since she's come in, and just her infectious enthusiasm. I was just with her with Jordan's event, an hour or two ago.
Yeah.
Anna Murphy, Lauren Anderson, Stephen Huddy, Olivia Grover, Duke. Even he'll
I was
never
gonna say, I don't know
his name.
about Duke. Duke,
Hey, by the way, I heard a little birdie tell me he was the one that came up with that copy for the Tucker Craft thing. So I gotta give him that credit.
All right, dude. All right, we get do some props there.
But again, when you have good people doing good work and they're passionate about it, just like yourself, not to butter you up, but I mean, when you have people that really care about what they're doing and they're creative about it, my goodness, the possibilities are endless.
Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head too. It's like that relatability factor, right? Of just like you watch Jordan Love, right, buying shoes for kids, that just happened about an hour and a half ago. I don't think there's anyone looking at that going, man, I really wish my quarterback wasn't doing that. I really wish that he wasn't giving shoes. That's not happening. And like, it just gives you such that pride. Because like you could have pride within your team and, like just hope that they win and all that great 100%. Stuff. But when you can make those deeper connections to the players who, I mean, Aaron Rodgers 100% right about that, right? It's about the people.
Yep.
It is about the people with the squad and also with the organization. And I think that being able to showcase that is only going to create more of a bond between that and the fan base.
And two things I just want to say very quickly to that. One, amazing effort tonight by Jordan, his foundation, Hands of Love and working with, people in the community. But two things that really spoke volumes, I think, about Jordan tonight. One, Matt Schneidman retweeted it. Someone else tweeted at me too. For what he did tonight with this event, somebody had said, he was over at our school yesterday giving stuff away. I think it was like shoes or something like that. No publicist, nothing.
No PR.
Just goes and does that on his own. And two, we had a battery issue tonight after one of the interviews, and we're trying to corral him for something. Jordan basically redid most of the interview for us. Like, I'm not comparing apples to apples. But I'm just telling you, like, that's an NFL, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in NFL history.
Yep.
And could not have been cooler about it. I mean, people want to know who Jordan Love is and what he's like.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's it. And kind of talking about this journey that you've been on, Wes. So we're in year 19 of journalism. By the way, I'm very happy that I knew that. I was very happy. We do a little research
old,
here.
bro.
We're
getting old.
Yeah, we're getting old. I mean, how are things like looking from up there in terms of your senior writer at the Packers compared to where you started off, whether it was grinding and go to UWGB and the Press Gazette and like just this insane journey that you've been on to obviously the highlight of writing about Tom Grossi winning Fan of the Year, obviously, but we don't have to talk about that. More of just like where you're at
with
now.
My son in the middle of the interview, like chattering the entire time.
That's what makes it better though, as people. But like that, where are you at? Like, have you had any time? I know it's the season grind that we're all going through, but have you any time to stop and like reflect kind of on what things are looking like, year 19 heading into year 20, 2 decades of doing this thing? I mean, that's an accomplishment, my friend.
Yeah, I've told people this, like, I am closer to the end than the beginning. Like, I don't want to be doing this. I mean, I want to work for the Packers as long as I can, but like, I'm not going to be one of these guys walking around the locker room God bless the people that do, and some people have to. But if I'm in a position financially where I don't have to be doing that into my 60s and everything, like, I won't be there. Because I think in some regards, you have to be able to hand that off to the next person. Like, I have a dream job, right? And there's only a couple of these in the National Football League, only a few of them.
Yeah.
At some point, there's going to be another 20-some-year-old person that is going to run with it and take it farther than I ever did. But another fun story tonight. So Better Days Mentoring is who Jordan was partnered up with tonight. Those are the kiddos that were there.
Yeah.
The guy who runs that is named Eddie Boyce. I didn't know this was Eddie's venture. I covered Eddie when he was a point guard for Green Bay East in like 2008. And now he has gone on, done very well for himself, has this mentorship program in addition to the other things he's doing. And him and I were literally reflecting on that tonight while we were waiting for Jordan.
I love it.
And you asked me like about those type of things. It's the amount of people that you've met in this journey. And I'm sure it's the same way for you. And the longer you do this, you'll see it more and more.
Yeah.
It's the people that you meet along the way. And then you might not see them for 10 years. You might not see them for 16 years. But it reminds you, and him and I were going back and forth about the prep chat that I did with him and 2 of his teammates at East. And time moves so fast. And it is that old Ferris Bueller thing that if you don't stop and look around, you're going to miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And to be in this position, to be able to support, my kiddo was running around in my suit coat on Sunday. I had the weekend off, so I was able to be at home a little bit more. And my son was running around in my suede suit coat. And I was an 18-year-old kid doing this, right? And now he's we had the family Christmas party on Saturday, and this is part of his life. So it's been a ride.
Have you gotten to this point yet? So I obviously do GPS and stuff with Perna, who now I've known. It'll be 10 years next year that I'll have known for 10 years because it'll be my 10th year doing Packcast. And Carmi, his kid it is crazy to watch her grow up via the internet. I mean, I've only met Perna and his family once in person. It was during 30 and 30 for 12 hours before it was like, all right, gotta go. Great to see you, buddy. Nice to know you for almost 10 years. And how has that been for you? Because like there is gonna be a point where like Killian's gonna like read about like read the articles that you wrote, right? And like be more introduced to the world. And I know you and I have had conversations about even introducing him to the hobbies that you're into, right? Like whether it's like Pokemon or whatever, like that's the bonding element. But has there been any kind of like reflections or thought about like, damn, like there is a legacy that's being left here, and like your son is going to be able to learn more about his father through the words that you've written over these years?
My dad worked down the street at Georgia Pacific for 35 years. And like, I was so proud of him, dude. Like he worked harder than I ever could have, than I ever will. Up at 5 o'clock, in the mill at 6, getting home at 5. I mean, just cooking meals, taking care of me, get me to soccer, get me to basketball, all that type of stuff. And, this job my dad worked a lot. This job, obviously you work a lot and the hours are a little bit more obscure.
Sure.
But, when we got to the family Christmas party on Saturday and he wanted to run up, he didn't want to go down to the field, dude. He didn't want to go do all that. He wanted to run up to the 6th floor where they have the south end zone, like since the last 6 years, like those new seats. And all Killy wanted to do is just go sit up there and just go like look at the stadium and stuff like that. So like, I just hope he's proud of me. Like I hope I make him proud. Cause he's the best thing in my life.
Yeah.
And to be able to share that with him and everything his grandfather did to help me be successful and help me set me up. Oh, Thomas, you're getting me in the fields tonight, but it's been great. And I got the best son alive, and to be able to show him a little bit of what I do and why I miss as much time as I do is pretty meaningful.
I think it's also too, right, is when he's younger, there is that gap that's there of just like, I can't explain why I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning writing this thing, right? Yeah. But as he gets older, like, and being able to bring him into that world. And I think I think you posted about this, I want to say it was maybe last week, and it was during that kind of like, not a bye week, but the 10 days off that we had, that you have like members of the Packers organization, like bringing in their babies, like it's like first visits to Lambeau and stuff. Yeah. And it, from the outside perspective, and I know just based off like you and I talk, it really does feel like there's that kind of like familial bonding, especially like local folks living in Green Bay and coming and working for the Packers. I think that's just such an awesome thing to be able to share, with your family and especially with your son, because as he gets older, like I said, he's just going to learn more and more and get more involved, whatever way that's going to look at, whether he's going to replace you, in
I hope not. I hope he's
years.
Smart. Yeah, he's got some good genes on his mom's side. He's got some smarts on that side. So hopefully that helps him in that regard. But no, I mean, that has been the best reward of all, is watching him start to understand what I do. We did have a tough there was a really tough day last year. Went down to Chicago for that opener, the first game, Jordan, when he took over the ownership of the Bears,
Yep.
at Soldier Field, transfer. That Kill didn't realize I was leaving, and I didn't properly communicate that. And he thought he was going off to the new zoo in Swamico. I was going to go home and get ready, and then I was going to see him at home. And that was not the case. And he had a total, my son is not a temper tantrum guy. He's not but he had a meltdown.
Yeah.
And I had to kind of talk to him on FaceTime from Chicago, being like, everything's cool, dude. I'll be back tomorrow. Everything's fine. And he gets it. He understands there's going to be a lot of weekends where I'm out and I'm not going to be able to be there. But it's like anything, dude. You find time. And, the family Christmas party was great. We had his Christmas concert at church on Sunday.
There you go.
So I got to see him, and he is a little performer, dude. That dude, he is much more extroverted than I ever was.
So he's coming for my job, is what you're saying. That's
is exactly
fine.
what
we'll hand him the reins to Patcast. It's fine.
Because here's the best thing. First and second graders, they go up and they sing their little Christmas carols twice. Then you bring on the heavy hitters, the second through fifth graders, and they do the actual play of like Joseph, Mary, baby Jesus, the wise men. Killian is champing at the bit to run back up there. He wants to be a star. He wants to be a moose or a camel, whatever, everything. And I'm just like, chill, buddy, chill. You'll be able to go back up and sing Holly Jolly Christmas at the end. But no, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. And credit to the Packers. They do a phenomenal job of being incredibly welcoming to families. Football does a great job of it on their side as well.
Yeah.
But I remember those photos you saw with some of my coworkers.
Yeah.
I had those same photos of Killian 6 years ago.
Yep.
When he was a little baby running around. So, and he wants to go on a tour. I didn't get him on a Packers tour this year. I don't know if there's going to even be an opening for that again this year. He wanted to go around football. So we'll have to arrange that again at some point.
Listen, gotta get it. We'll make some calls. We'll make sure it happens. Listen, Wes, if you could give Johnny Barks and I a tour during 30 and 30, we can get Killy a tour.
We can get it worked out.
We can get it done.
Man, it's crazy. That seems like that was yesterday. That's already a year and a half ago, bro.
Oh my god, dude, the concept of time is lost on me. I only know the days of the week because of the football schedule during football season. I'm like, oh, it's Monday Night Football. Okay, now I know what I'm doing tonight.
I was completely jacked up going into the Lions game. I couldn't keep Monday from Wednesday. It was awful.
Dude, I had not been amped up for a game like that in a hot second. I was like, oh, like that. This feels good. I had a lot of optimism. I still got a lot of optimism. It felt like a playoff game, and I'm glad that we still, have an opportunity to experience that. In terms of kind of where you're at, you're talking about, not wanting to do this, when you're 65 years old and just be like, yeah, maybe we could step back a little bit and do something different. In terms of kind of, I'm not ready for the what's next question because I feel like, one, it's too cliche and it's too open-ended. But two, I feel like I'm curious about what you're passionate about post this. And I don't even talking in terms of like a career or anything like that. Just like with the experience that you have had to be able to write the articles that you have, to get to know the people that you have met on this journey, whether it was 19 years ago, whether it was brand new players who are coming in every year and bonding with them, being like, oh, okay, it's this guy now that we're going to have that little bit of a bond. And like, I relate heavily with them. Do you think that, whatever you do next is going to be revolving around people? Because I feel like you are just such a genuine person when it comes to talking to people, communicating with them, and hearing and listening them, and being able to recount their experiences through, the written word. It's such a gift, dude, and truly. And I'm curious of just like where you're at in terms of, okay, when you're peeking over the fence a little bit to see what is next, are people at the center of that? Yeah,
I'm definitely an empath. Like I that's just the way I've always been.
Yeah,
I think that kind of goes into like why I wanted to do like Busy Head Project at the beginning. I was a super sensitive kid when I was growing up, and things now are much different than they were back in 1990, whatever. And people are so much more understanding of certain things. And there's things I struggled with as a kid that I thought were wrong.
Yeah.
That I thought, there's a lot of behavioral modification type stuff. Don't cry, don't show your emotions, that type of stuff. And I'm not saying that's from my parents. My parents didn't know what was going on there, but I mean, like people in those positions and therapists, and like, they're like, what do you do with this kid?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people have said in the past, like that sometimes can become your superpower. And I feel human beings. Like in a lot of cases, I try to see, and sometimes it's hard, but I have always tried to see the best in humans. And I love telling stories, Tom. And when I say that stuff about it, the end is closer than the beginning, it is because I'm getting old and I don't want to lose that spark.
Sure.
The day that I'm just collecting a paycheck, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm sure it's the same thing for you.
Yep.
The day you're collecting a paycheck and we're in, that's doing a disservice to the position that you've been afforded. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities that I've earned and I've worked for and I've put the time and I've made the sacrifices. But at the end of the day, I can not show up for work tomorrow. The Packers will find a way.
Sure.
There will be another staff writer that will come in and handle this thing just fine. And I just feel like that's the number one thing I owe. I don't know what down the line I'm going to do. I definitely want to travel someday.
Yeah.
I travel a little bit, but like it's almost like with the NFL season, we get done with it. You do 10, 11 road trips, depending on how far the postseason goes. And if you have to go on the road the entire time, by the time I get done with that, I'm just like zonked out. Like I don't even feel like doing anything. That's why I still get anxiety thinking about 30 and everything that you did with that and then going international with it. God bless you. But I mean, like that just freaks me out, that much traveling. But I love people, man. I love people. I love engaging with people. I love being able to meet people that actually take time to consume your content because, dude, there is so much content out there, whether it's what I generate, whether it's the NFL, Packers, people that actually give you their time. That's everything.
Your attention is a gift, you know, and it truly, I've said this a lot this season too. I 100% agree with you. This is why we get along so well. But
I thought it was pro wrestling.
Yeah, that too. That definitely doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all. But I mean, like even your love of pro wrestling too, like about getting emotion out of people. If any time that I can elicit emotion from a single person, whether it's a piece of content I make, a conversation, what have you, I'm like, yep, that's it. Like that's what it's about. Yep. And it's not happy, sad, angry, laughter, whatever it is. Like that is a gift to be able to do. You definitely have it with the way that you're able to write and to communicate with people. And I think that connection with human beings and your outlook on the world and humanity as a whole, not to get like super meta, but I agree with you. I mean, like that's why 30 and 30 came about, right? And just like meeting new people every single day who came out to donate to St. Jude, to show support, say, I've been watching your content for XYZ, you know, to make that trip. People came for the international site from different countries, you know, like they came from Portugal to, like, it was insane. And I think what I'm curious about for you is how have you avoided becoming jaded with that? Because I feel like it is easier than not to lose that kind of, oh, people are good. You know, and that's whether it's world events, whether it's, you know, just day to day going things are going on. Because I've held on to that all these years, even being on the internet and experiencing the nasty side of everybody and all that great stuff. That's fine. It's all well and good. But you just keep on coming back to the good. How do you do that? And how do you avoid kind of being jaded in that sense, especially when you're always in contact with people?
I can bring you back to 2019. I did the Mitchell Henry story. And Terry and Leslie Henry, his parents, we spent 3 days with them doing that story. They lost their son, right? Like he's gone. And seeing their humility, their faith,
Sure.
Take that a lot of different ways. And seeing how they could smile after everything they had gone through. I've always been kind of an empath, but that left, I left Elizabethtown, Kentucky in 19, never the same.
Yeah.
Because the one thing about it, people say, oh, Wes, you're a really nice guy. We all have our dark spots. And I know what I'm like at my weakest.
Sure.
And we all fight that. And to see people that have gone through real adversity, true adversity, and have grace, like that sticks more with you than a Twitter headline or somebody ragging you on a story or what have you. That's the type of stuff. It's like if someone goes through that and can smile, what I'm going through in this very moment is not, it's not even part of that. Yeah. And then I think having a kid affected me a lot too, changed me a lot. in that way. And
They'll get
now
you like
you have an investment in the future. Whereas
Ooh.
beforehand, I always looked at it like, I mean, I was your typical teenage kid, like, whatever, let it burn. I don't care. Forget authority,
Sure.
Like, no, I mean, like, there's something else there, and there's a legacy to leave. And, and I think the other thing that's cool about it is you see events like this tonight with Jordan, and you see how people can affect people, how they can touch people. Aaron Jones, everything he did here for so many years. Kenny, as the Man of the Year nominee for the second time. Christian Watson, the way that he conducted himself after a really difficult day in Detroit, I think speaks volumes about Christian. When you're around those type of people, and it leaves an impression on you. So I think, certainly you have to have a certain base construct of how you live and who you are, but
Sure.
I think it's also being around positivity and being around people that look at the bright side of things and that bring out the best in you on a personal side of my life. And you were talking earlier about Pokemon and how that's something that was really integral to me.
Yeah.
Killian likes being around the Packers and that, but he likes Pokemon. Like, his favorite Pokemon's Gengar. And like,
it's a great pick.
Type of stuff, dude. Like, that's gold, man. Like, that's what it's about. So, I hope I don't leave that. I hope I don't lose that. Cause I think, this world will humble you quick and it will scar you. And if you let those scars change who you are and affect you, it stinks. Like, it stinks if that's the way it's going to be. So that's why I still try to be positive, even when things aren't going great, personally, professionally, what have you, to still try to see a light out there somewhere. So it's a really long-winded answer. I don't know if I even gave you the answer you're looking for, but
Wes, you're perfect. Shut up. You're great. It's like, I don't know if that was good. Most poignant thing ever. Just like, I don't know.
I honestly was prepared to come on here for an hour and just be like, so I mean, we're gonna have to see exactly where things are at with the safety position. And
sorry. Every time you've come on here, I think we talk about football for like 3 minutes, and then it's all right, let's get into life.
So far in this one, bro. Like, this is you're really getting down in my psyche. But
good God, we got another anonymous $500 donation. Don't worry, I already got him off. Let's go. Let's go. I just waited. I waited. By the way, I already matched $1,000, so I already got you on that one. I already got you. So. Already donated that, so we're up to 2,890 smack.
Yeah, I would not have been able to afford this at this point.
I got you.
I would have been like, "Hey, Killian, I'm going to do a what is that? What they call it? A hardship withdrawal from your college fund?"
Just be like, "Sorry, is there a plan that I can get on?"
Yeah,
it's installments. I have 2 questions for you, Wes. You brought something up in talking about having that kind of baseline of who you are. As you've kind of gone throughout, now being a senior writer or anything like that, I want to kind of separate the profession from the person, but I'm sure there's overlapping going on. And thank you very much to all who's donated. You're all crazy, and I appreciate the hell out of you.
That's crazy.
How has that changed? As you kind of get further along. I mean, I'll speak from just personally, like in my 30s, that changed significantly. Because I think that you carry that, throughout your 20s are interesting times. You're figuring it all out, and people still figuring it out even in their 50s and 60s. But like, how has that changed for you, even that just perception of yourself? And I'll ask the follow-up question afterwards. Do you tie that more, like, was it more to your job a few years ago and now, or like, significant other, or now it's maybe Killian? Like, where has that changed your barometer of like, okay, this is my understanding of who I am as Wes Hodkiewicz?
I love pouring into people, Tom, and I love being able to now be in a position where I can do that more, just based on experience. I as you know, and we've talked on this before, whether it was Mike Vandermoss or Pete Doherty, Rob Domofsky, as much crap as I give Rob, all those guys put so much into me and invested into me, Stu Courtney, and to now be in a position where I'm one of the older people in our department now. Blink, it comes at you fast. Seeing some of these young people come up and be able to teach them in a lot of ways that I was taught. Maybe not so much from the journalistic standpoint, but just like a football team, you have to be able to coach everybody up. And I can give you a perfect example of that. Nicole Tim, who is my second, although now she'd probably tell you that she's the editor of like the game day program.
Sure.
She's taken on more and more every year. Nicole was I think it's labeled a level 3. She wasn't an intern, but she wasn't full time. She worked like 30 hours a week, and she was with us for 3 years. And we were trying to get her in the door and trying to get her in different departments and have her, get a full-time opportunity because she deserved it. Well, fortunately, we finally had a position open up in our department, an added position. No one left. So it was a new spot.
Yeah.
And we graduated her into that role. And Nicole afterwards wrote me the sweetest note I've ever received, and one of the most touching things I've ever received, thanking me for what I did. I did very little, Tom. She earned the job. It was all her.
There's that humility.
But
all right. Yep. No. I did nothing. I just, I didn't. I was out here throwing my feet up, doing nothing. Okay, come on. Yeah, you and I are the same. It's fine. Continue. Yep.
But to see her get an opportunity was awesome, because I was in that seat in January of 2010 in, God bless him, John Dye's office at the former editor of the Press Gazette, telling me, Wes, we thank you. You did so much here. You've been a tremendous student and part-timer and everything. We're not going to be able to keep you on once you graduate.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, Mike Vandermoss, Scott Vency, some people at the Press Gazette went to bat for me. They ended up creating a position for me when I graduated, and I was able to get a full-time job out a week after I graduated college. Nicole had been in that cycle for 3.5 years, and finally you see her have an opportunity. And that's the coolest thing about this for me, is now that I'm getting older, I can see people that are at the beginning of their lives, in the beginning of their professional careers, more importantly, in that regard, now be able to see the fruits of their labor and watching them grow and watching them teach me things. And
I love it.
That's the coolest. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you bring into your personal identity. I've always tried not to make the job much of that, but I guess to some extent it's going to be, just because you invest so much time into it.
Sure.
But I still have always viewed myself as the same sweaty tryhard in 2009, trying to prove myself to get a job.
Yeah.
As I do today, where like I have a guaranteed bi-weekly paycheck, and life's different these days. So
is that motivation still there, or is it
100%?
That idea of like, hey, I still have to like prove myself every single day doing this?
I had a long conversation with my therapist about this.
Amen.
Because she's the one that has talked me back on this sometimes, because we've had a discussion about if it's a healthy or unhealthy, and she will be the one to tell you it's unhealthy habit of mine, which is I always feel like at any moment I could get fired.
Oh yeah.
And that stems from, obviously there's a personal anxiety part of that, but then it's also the fact that in almost 10 years at the newspaper, I watched a ton of valuable, well-respected journalists lose their jobs, not because they weren't good, but because money was tight, because the industry changed. I was 19 years old the first time I helped someone clean out their desk. And I'm sitting there honestly with a straight face and clear mind thinking, so this is the job I want to get into?
Yeah.
And so yeah, dude, you've never met, I'm not saying I'm the hardest worker you've ever met. You've never met anybody, though, I promise you, that feels more insecure about their job and what it takes to maintain it than me. And it's probably a terrible character flaw in myself, but because I think it affects a lot of the other aspects of my life. But it's just, when you grow up in ask anybody that grew up in a newspaper industry and transition to something else, that stays with you.
Yeah. I mean, like, just that, man. So just having that stability, even if it hasn't fully sunk in, of just, you mentioned like the steady paycheck, what a significant difference, right? I mean, dude, again, as a teacher, like, I never had tenure at all. I worked at a private school for 4 years, so at the drop of a hat, I could have gotten fired at any point, right? Then a leave replacement job, then I had it for a year. So yeah, no, I get it. And I never had my own classroom. I was always moving around, 6 years doing it. And even like with this, 100%, dude. Like, I look at this every single day and I go, I don't, what if YouTube goes away tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like, or there's something that happens to Google, or there's something that happens with the NFL. So yeah, like every single day. And I was like, okay, yep, cool. All right. And like that, but there also comes that idea of like earning it every day. And I mean, going into almost 10 years, I'm still with that mindset. That's
the coolest part, Tom. It's not about like, oh, I earned this, I deserve this, but it is neat every once in a while if you peer back and you just see how far your footsteps have taken you. And
it's
like,
a tough thing to do. That's a really difficult thing to do.
It's super difficult to do. But then there's instances where, you start to realize that, again, to what you said earlier about like Killian is going to eventually, hopefully someday look at what I did. And I mean, it's just a bunch of stories and articles and that, but understand this is what Dad did for his livelihood. And that's neat because because you touch people's lives, whether it's newspaper clippings or like the Bo Melton story I did back in October with his mom and everything. Like there's cool stuff like that people are going to carry with them long after I'm gone. And, we'll see where it takes him. But yeah, it's that's the neatest part of the job. And the day I stop wanting to tell stories, I want to stop having that hunger and that fire to be out there and contributing. It's the day I need to step aside.
Yeah. I mean, it's what you said. And my follow-up question after all of that was, and you kind of touched on it, but good. Now I'm going to make you face it. Do you realize that you are that person for a lot of people? Like that person who is that either, if you want to go super simplistic, connection to the team, or in terms of the amount of people that you have touched with your acts of kindness, with your acts of generosity, with your teaching. I mean, Wes, again, personally, you came over to New York City so that you could surprise me when I won Fan of the Frickin' Frackin' Year, and you wrote this beautiful article, and it's not just because you wrote a nice article about me, but speaking to who you are as a person, there is almost nobody on this planet that I will go to bat for like more than you in terms of just what you have given to people. Like that's why people are coming up to you at pep rallies, right? Because you and I have had this conversation when it was Ask Vic, and I was working at a grant writing company, and I put in a question, and I would write it every single day, every weekday. I was reading, and my question got answered once, and I printed that thing out, and I still have it of like, wow, Vic answered my question. Yeah. And there are people who have that feeling, that have that emotion when you answer their question. Whether it is, again, that's just from the team element, not even getting into the deeper component of it. But I think the way that you are as a person and investing in people and how you view people and help people, that I think is going to be, your legacy, if anything, Wes. And I think that is something you should be incredibly proud of. And I do want to know, like, do you have any idea of you having that effect on people? Because if not, then I'll spend the next hour making sure you do.
I don't know.
Eric Jackson, you beautiful son of a gun. I'm gonna make it. By the way, we've raised over $3,000 freaking fracking dollars.
Awesome.
Now. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Thank you, guys.
Let's go.
When I make more money at some point, I will contribute the other $2,000 for the dono or whatever. Maybe we can keep the juice running, and then we'll figure it out from there. The one thing I want, Tom, and I think you know this already, but when I came into the job in 2016, I remember talking to Russ Ball about this, Jason Wallers, so many people that I interviewed with and I talked with. I wanted to be not a spokesperson, that's the wrong term, but I wanted to be someone that people felt they could connect with on the Packers brand while also giving them information and being able to tell them stories they haven't heard before and be able to actually go to and be like, okay, Wes said such and such, these are the players that are out for Sunday. Not speculation on who's getting benched and things like that, but I mean, like, in terms of just what the day-to-day is and that they can trust what I'm putting out there. Like that's the number one thing journalism taught me. And it's the number one thing my years at the Press Gazette did for me. And I think the cool thing has been, this is Mark Murphy, man. The guy has accomplished so much. And you and I have had these conversations about him and the way he's led this organization and the way I'm very confident that Ed Policy is going to lead this organization, the coaching staff, the players, but understanding that like people actually kind of view me as someone that they can associate with the Packers too. I don't think it might necessarily be true, but I never, ever take that for granted. No. Because again, if you get into a position like this, you have to understand there is so much you have to give back from it. And I hope in some small way I've been able to do that.
You did. Yeah. Not I hope. You did. You did, man. I mean, like there's people in the comments right now saying, I remember when Wes answered my question.
And he was a total douchebag about it.
Oh my God, what an asshole. But seriously, but dude, like that's, you and I are 100% on the same page, right? Like you get to a level and whatever it is, whether it's you with the Packers or whether it's a platform or of any sorts, the first thing you do is you give back.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the first and the last thing you do because everything else, right? It's eventually going to go away.
Yeah.
And what's going to be remaining is like how you treated people. It's how you help people. And I think that you have helped a ton of people. You know, you helped tonight. We've raised over $3,000, you know, for St. Jude. We're raising money for charity. And that's the stuff that's ultimately going to matter at the end of the day.
And it's cool too, because I think you've talked about it with people that have been willing to give you money, you know, and whether it's charity or whether it's just being able to make a house payment.
Yeah.
The understanding of what that means, and the understanding of what people, when they watch Unscripted or they read Inbox or they go to a pep rally, the understanding that investment that they're making in you. I think the newspaper, that was a positive from newspapers, is understanding where the dollars come from and how you got to keep the lights on, right? And the fact that you do need to be out there for you. Nobody does that better than Nagler or Aaron Nagler.
Sure.
Like the fact that he does Packers Daily every day, and so many people out there are there to engage with an audience because of what they're investing into them. So, and you go back to the New York, and I remember when it got pitched to me and they were asking about Packers alumni that could go do it for you. And then it had come up with the idea of sending me out there. And I'm like, there's no one else I want. You could tell me that Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love in unison are going to go out there with a plaque. I'm be like, no, I'm going. It's me.
I'm the captain.
Because that's the connection you feel. And dude, all the cool things we did that day, Goodell comes and gives you the award. We walked around the headquarters of the NFL. We did all these different things. You know what my favorite part of that day was?
Went and got lunch, baby.
We went and got lunch at some vegan restaurant down the street. That was my favorite part of the day. My trip did not get any better than that moment, because it was two dudes sitting in a vegan restaurant that was kind of worked its way in the middle of an alley. Yep. And it's just you and me in there. And it was literally like the Hot Ones thing, where it's like, look at us. Like, look at us.
Look at us now. Look at us. Dude, yeah. I mean, dude, I texted you, I think it was a few months ago, because, you know, when a lot of this stuff happens in the moment too, it's really tough to gauge. Like when the Fan of the Year stuff was happening, it was a lot to take in. And I'm a very keep your head down and just keep on working, and then maybe like, oh, that's nice, and then just keep going, right? Because you just got to always keep plowing through. I'm sure your therapist would say that it's unhealthy, and I agree. But at the same time, legitimately, like, I read that article. I was on my way to hiking, and I don't even remember how it came up on my feed. It might have been like years ago. It might have been a picture, I think, that you and I took together. And I went and reread that article, kind of just like now, months removed. And yeah, man, like that was, I still have screenshots of just my name on the Packers website. And like, that might seem like a silly thing now, especially if people are like just coming in, but like, no, man, like that was, as someone who is asking questions to Vic and like just trying to get every parcel of information I could about my team when I was 7 years old, just, you know, trying to learn about them. They were almost never on TV unless it was the playoffs or the Giants and Jets just happened not to be playing. You know, that was great. And that's who you are for people too, man. I mean, like just the amount of people overseas, you know, and they've mentioned your name of sometimes like you are the person that's delivering that message for people. And to be able to do that with grace and to be able to do that, you know, with that compassion you have for people, you know, again, it's not only just a gift, but it makes this so much better. You know, there are fans of the Green Bay Packers who are also huge Wes Hodkiewicz fans, you know, and that's just the truth.
Brazil was the biggest eye opener for me. I'm sure you felt it when you did your international tour. The extended edition, I think you might call the 30 and 30. The amount of people that I feel so bad to this day, and I'm sending this guy a shirt. I have it signed. I'm sending it to him.
Yeah.
Schedule's been a little busy, but the dude at the airport that was asking for me to sign his shirt, and I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody wants me to sign it. You got the entire Packers football team coming. You don't want my autograph. So then what happens? Like Devontae Wyatt signs it. I think Kenny signed it. A bunch of Jair signed it. And Larry McCarron. And the dude tweets at me saying, and I really wanted your autograph, Wes Hod. And I felt like the smallest man that's ever lived in that moment. I'm like, you can't be serious. But then meeting people, and I got to say, man, I understand it now, because for so many international fans, yes, they know Tom Grossi and they know different areas to go to. If I'm a fan of the Green Bay Packers and I live in Europe or I live in South America, where am I probably going most likely to get some content? Packers.com.
Yep.
Because they might not know where Green Bay, Wisconsin, the Green Bay Press-Gazette is, or the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, or the Athletic, or some of these things. They're going to Packers.com. And there's people that are wanting to engage with that. And it's like, it blows you away.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's just, I'm in Lambeau as we speak. I'm in Green Bay. When this is done, I'm going to walk to my car. I'm going to drive back to Swamico, and then tomorrow will be tomorrow. But for some people, this is the Mecca. Like, this is a summit that you might make once in your lifetime. And you can't take that for granted. But I'll say this too, and just close on the fan of the year stuff.
Yeah.
There was never a more emotional moment for me than seeing you up on that stage. And again, not that I had anything to do with any of that, but the fact that it was actually like, this guy, when you talk about the DIY, just figuring it out.
Yeah.
To be in that moment, like, and you have that forever. Like, that doesn't, you can have a little trophy. You can have some moments. You can have some videos that, like,
sure,
that's with you forever.
Yeah.
And you created that.
It's yeah, I mean, like, after, because I remember Haley giving me that call in November, that I was just like the representative of the Packers. And I was like, holy crap, man. Like, that's heavy. Like, that's a big thing, because you and I have talked about this too, especially for many, many years, the Packers were very insulated, very like closed off, and like, nope, like nobody comes in the fortress. And I understood that immediately upon going into Lambeau, and that was fine. But to even just be able, and I think it's in the article, right? It's to be able to represent this team that I've loved since I was 6.
Yeah.
And just for this little tiny bit, like, I'm going to be able to be the representative in this tiny little fan of the year, what have you. Like, trust me, I do not inflate my importance. It's, that was a really special one. As soon as I got off that stage, I was bawling, crying, because it hit me like a truck, because that was it happened. Like, damn. And that's the thing, like, they can't take it away, you know? And that's why, like, there's moments throughout this entire thing of like, wow, okay, when I do take a break, you know, even if it's an off season, maybe someday I'll do that. And just like, maybe one day.
I'll believe that when
like,
I see it,
what is this break you speak of?
Yeah.
And sit with it and be like, yeah, you know, this might get broken and gorilla glued back together, but you know, there's things that they can't take away from you. I mean, dude, that's why. And you talk about storytelling, you know, I'm all about it. And to be able to get, hopefully, you know, that's why we're going to do everything we can to get to 1 million subscribers, like in the house where it happened in the 10th year, you know, like that's
sick.
Dude, like the draft is in Green Bay. It'll be the 10th year of me doing this. I'll be in the draft. Like, I'll be at the draft, you know, like there's things that are lining up that if they work out, or if they don't work out, I should say, listen, I'm very content with the things that I have, but if there are certain things that can work out, I mean, holy crap, what a storybook finish, you know, it's just nuts. For this, you know, almost a third of my life doing this. Yeah. And I'm so elate. I mean, dude, like, we would have never met if I wasn't a fan of the Green Bay Packers. Yeah. You know,
I think another thing I have a bunch of weird theories. Not too weird. I'm not going to go off any weird tangents, but when I've often said, I feel like, you know how UWGB is actually doing, I did it for Brent Hensel, who's the curator for the Packers Hall of Fame. He did a class teaching Packers history this year. I was a part of one of them. I handled part of the McCarthy years. And I actually was thinking afterwards, I'm like, you know, pro wrestling should really be a college course.
I completely agree.
Especially if you're looking to get into media, or if you're looking to get into some type of, like, I'm sure theater, it obviously would fit in very well, but like, because people always joke about pro wrestling, but like, there is nothing more emotionally provoking than wrestling. And people will always say, well, you know, it's not real or whatever this. It's like, it's more real than Vanderpump Rules. It draws you in. It lasts longer. It's going to be here well after that series is done and the one after it.
Sure.
Because it's the most truest form of storytelling. And I think having that from the very beginning is something that has stayed with me, because it is, everything at the end of the day is about emotion. It's about drawing emotion, as you said earlier, positive, negative, and everything in between.
Sure.
That's what sells tickets. That's what sells seats. That's what keeps people interested. If you don't feel emotionally invested into something, you're not going to go anywhere. No. So that's why, like, to bring it back to the fan of the year stuff, obviously I was cheering from you for the beginning. But when it started to become more obvious that this could potentially really happen,
Yeah.
it's like, that was as important to me as any year of Packers football. Like, I mean, like,
All right, that's a lot, Wes.
it's a 101 though, bro. You think, okay, so you don't win it. You think you're up for it again the next year? No, this is like, it's
it's
one
it's
shot.
one and done, and that's it. You
do
can't
not miss your chance to blow. I mean, like,
listen, there you go.
Thank you.
Mom's spaghetti, baby.
So it's like, when we were in New York, like that was the thing I kept thinking about. This is it. This is a once in a lifetime deal. You do not want to miss it. And here we are.
And look at us.
10 months later.
Look at us. Yeah, God, 10 months. It honestly feels like a lifetime ago at some points, but yeah, man.
How much streaming have you done lately? Have you stopped streaming, or is this just one continual thing now?
You know what's funny? On Sunday was the first time I honestly don't know how long that I only streamed one game.
Really?
Legitimately, that is the longest. It's been a while. It's been a while. But yeah, it's been pretty nuts. I mean, dude, again, you came on this show during my 15-hour live stream trying to hit the $1 million mark at like, what was that, 3 o'clock in the morning, as I'm like, all right, guys, we got another $5 donation. Just trying to get there, man. Like, that's Wes Hodkiewicz.
Yeah, it was. I still love that night, though. I feel terrible for you. I can't imagine what you were going through.
But like
what
that,
you were
but
feeling.
that's what it's about, man. Right? Like that's it. Like I don't need sleep. Just to function, maybe. But
I wish I would have set up a GoPro in my bedroom for when I woke up, and I'm like, and dude, it's like 2:30 in the morning, whatever it was, and I'm like, oh, Tom don't sound very good, because it's like one of those things like where like you can relate to this with the dog, where the dog barks, you got to go let it out, right?
Yeah.
In the middle of the night. And there wasn't, you heard the dog bark a little bit. You heard Tom kind of talking.
Yeah.
But then there was a long pause right after that.
And then. Yeah.
That's what freaked me out. That's what woke me up. It wasn't Tom's voice once. It was hearing Tom's voice and then like, wait, did he pass out? And then looking and then being like, oh no, this guy's struggling. Right now.
Hey, listen, we were in the 8th round. I was swaying a little bit. I was throwing punches that weren't there. It's fine.
I was Mickey in the corner just trying to like get
Come
you
on,
back
Rocco.
up. Yeah. But hey, man, dude, those are the stories that if we're lucky enough to be here in 10, 15 years, that's the stuff we'll be talking about.
Nah, man, it's a life well lived.
Yeah.
That's it, man. That's what it is. Brother, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate the hell out of you for.
No, I appreciate you having me on, buddy. Thank you so much for it. Thank you to everybody that donated. Again, I will absolutely be cutting a check over to Busy Head for $1,000.
Let's go.
And then yeah, let's get back together here in a couple weeks with the fundraising live stream. We'll auction off some shoes.
Let's go, babe.
You'll get $25 for that to contribute to whatever you want to do. And
if you think that those shoes are only raising $25, Wes Hodkiewicz, we have not listened for the past hour. We've raised over $3,000 tonight for St. Jude. Again, if you can't donate via Super Chat, you could also donate in the link down below. On top of that, also can visit Noah Khan. He's putting together a great organization there. I think they raised like $4 million. I think they just they committed to someone. But the Busy Head Project, they're doing great work over there as well. Yeah, Wes, I thought you wanted to say something. I thought I was cutting you off.
No. I was just gonna say. I mean, like it's that. I just think, I appreciate the platform you gave me tonight. We talked a lot of non-Packer stuff, but I mean, obviously, through all these conversations you and I have had over the years, personally, we know each other very well. But yeah. I appreciate you being able to allow me the platform to kind of go off and show some of the stuff that I'm passionate about. So
let's go, baby.
Mental health is a very important thing, and it's something that I think a lot of people struggle with it. And I love my parents dearly. I did not grow up in a household that knew what to do with it.
Sure.
And there's a lot of stuff I struggled with as a kid that it took me 30 years to figure out. But my God, man, like there's people out there that care, that love you, that want to hear from you. And, whether you're donating or not, just to make sure people realize that, whether it's your community, whether it's people in their home life and personal life, there are people that love you, that support you, that want to be there for you. And I think when you're asking earlier about what brings out that positivity in me, it's the idea that I think whatever we go through as humans, a lot of times we don't realize how many people actually want to be there for you. And
that's right.
It's always good to remember that.
It's a Very true point. Wes, where can the people find you that are looking for you?
Hey, I went on Blue Sky.
Hey, there you go.
I'm on Blue Sky now. Yeah, at Wes Hod on Twitter or whatever it's being called this week. Instagram. Blue Sky, I think it's still Wes Hod with some other stuff attached to the end of it.
That's something.
I'm on Threads. I'm on MySpace. You could find
Shout out Tom, the true OG.
My two friends are Tom and Tom.
Yeah, that's it. Brother, I appreciate the hell out of you. Folks, go and show some love. Wes Hodkiewicz, buddy, I appreciate you taking the time this evening. Raised over $3,000. This fundraiser will be open until Monday. There will be a new episode of Chaotic Good Sports next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. But folks, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Wes Hodkiewicz. And as always, go Pack, go. Let's go.